Good afternoon. My name is Kate Singh. I am the Chief Communications Officer at the 4th Judicial District Attorney's Office. This morning at 7:15 a.m., a massive law enforcement response was initiated after a Colorado State Patrol trooper attempted to make a traffic stop along Highway 24 and was fired upon. The response escalated immediately. The Teller County Sheriff's Office put out a reverse 911 call, and the Colorado Bureau of Investigation sent out a blue alert with information regarding the suspect and the suspect vehicle. The Sheriff's Office implemented lockdowns in nearby areas. Then a homeowner in one of the lockdown neighborhoods noted that a contract worker on site at her house matched the description given by law enforcement. A family member of that homeowner contacted Teller County Dispatch. Teller County Sheriff's deputies responded to that home immediately. As they approached, the suspect began firing at them. One deputy returned fire, disabling the suspect. Today, several representatives of the many law enforcement agencies that responded to the shootings are represented today and are prepared to make brief statements. Colonel Matthew Packard, Chief of Colorado State Patrol, Teller County Sheriff Jason Meixel, Colorado Bureau of Investigation Director Armando Saldate III, Federal Bureau of Investigation Criminal Assistant Special Agent in Charge Brian Hewitt, and 4th Judicial District Attorney Michael Allen. Also here in support of our law enforcement agencies, Teller County Commissioners Eric Stone, Dan Williams, and Bob Campbell. First to speak today is Colonel Packard.
Thank you very much. Thank you all for being here again. My name is Colonel Matthew Packard. I serve as the Chief of the Colorado State Patrol. And I want to start first by saying thank you to so many people. The response today to Teller County in support of our 2 Colorado State Troopers was nothing short of tremendous. And to our partners in the law enforcement profession, from the text messages that we all got from friends far away, and importantly from the community here in Teller County that reached out and supported our members in the response. From the bottom of my heart, thank you so much. It means a lot to all of us that put this uniform on to know that we have the support that we do here. As was stated, about 7:15 this morning, a Colorado State Trooper initiated a traffic stop along Highway 24 in Piney Point. That vehicle pulled off into that subdivision, and right at the onset of that traffic stop, the driver of that vehicle opened fire on our trooper. Trooper had no opportunity to respond in that moment, and at this point we believe the suspect began to flee. The trooper was able to get back into his vehicle and put over the radio that he had been shot and that the suspect was fleeing. Our second Colorado State Trooper was in the immediate area and was able to arrive within minutes. And as he turned on to that same county road and started to go into the subdivision of that area, the suspect vehicle approached in the opposite direction, moving back towards Highway 24. And as the suspect vehicle was passing our trooper, he opened fire again and struck our trooper as he was in his car. It is with an extreme sense of relief that I tell you that both of our troopers are going to be okay. I'm not going to share their names today. I will tell you that one of them is a 15-year veteran who has spent a significant portion, if not all of his career here in this part of the state, and the second is a 10-year trooper. These are 2 men that have been doing this job for a long time, and quite frankly, I think they're really darn good at it. And it's by the grace of God that they will be okay here today. I will tell you again, the response that happened to this was remarkable. You never want to hear this call, but when it comes out, to know that we have friends and family all across that will be here. This is a difficult situation, but I will tell you this. If you shoot a Colorado State Trooper, the world is coming for you. And that's what happened today, and I'm grateful for that response. And with that, I will turn it over to our friend and partner from the Teller County Sheriff's Office, Sheriff Meixel.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I'm Sheriff Meixel with the Teller County Sheriff's Office. So this morning we responded to assist Colorado State Patrol. We identified quickly that the suspect may still be in the area. We also identified the 2 subdivisions that we believe that suspect may have fled into after he went westbound on Highway 24. We locked down those subdivisions. We put out to the public through our reverse 911 system, because we have a great 911 system here in Teller County. And we also released the photos of the possible suspect vehicle out through our Facebook. At 9:24, we received the tip that the vehicle and the person may have been located within the community. Unfortunately, there's a lot of blue Subarus in the world, right? So as the deputies responded 1 minute afterwards, because we had deputies searching the area as a tactical team members, running 2-man units in the attempt to locate the vehicle because we knew it was a dangerous situation. At 9:25, they located the vehicle and the suspect. At 9:26, 2 minutes after the initial report to us, the suspect ambushed my deputies. At that point, the deputies returned fire, striking the subject. And I'm going to caveat that a little bit also. In Colorado, we have very good law enforcement officers. And I will tell you, to attempt to ambush and take the life of my deputy, the party was struck multiple times. Our deputies are well trained, and we will not allow someone in this county to ever attempt to take the lives of a deputy in this county. So I'm going to turn this over to Colorado Bureau of Investigation, Armando Saldate. Thank you, Armando.
Thank you all, and thank you for your important coverage of this story and for the immediate information that was released upon us understanding what the suspect vehicle was in this case. This morning, that call came forward that Chief Packard talked about, where we were notified that 2 troopers had been shot in the line of duty. I immediately directed all CBI Front Range personnel to respond to the scene to assist. So we had agents coming from Denver, from Pueblo, from all over, and all our resources were assisting. One of those resources we put forward immediately was our alert system. Our analyst that runs our alert system reached out to CSP. We got the suspect information, the vehicle information, and pictures, and that was put out in a blue alert. That was put out to this Teller County and adjacent counties immediately. And thankfully we did that. That was fruitful in the efforts, as the sheriff described, of locating the vehicle, the suspect vehicle, and the suspect. The CBI, once upon arrival, we assisted in that early manhunt, but then we took over as the investigative lead for all the incidents that arose today, from the initial firing of the shots by the suspect at the state troopers to the officer-involved shooting with the Teller County deputy. I want to reiterate, the scenes right now are pretty big, as you've seen, as your camera coverages have seen the scenes that are here. I appreciate everyone's patience as we process the scene, especially in this weather. We're doing our best to get through them to make sure that we collect all the necessary evidence for the investigation. And this investigation will look at who the suspect was, identify motive, and then identify, the officer-involved shooting and the actions that took place after that. We will then turn over our investigation and we'll work closely with the Judicial District, 4 Judicial Districts, District Attorney Michael Allen. And I'll pass it on now to our partners at the FBI, Assistant Special Agent in charge of the FBI Denver Criminal Division, Brian Hewitt.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Brian Hewitt. I'm the Assistant Special Agent in charge of FBI Denver here. I want to take a second to acknowledge all the partners that are here standing behind me and those that are currently out on the street right now working the crime scene and that responded to this. This was a mass response to law enforcement of troopers that were shot. We're always going to respond. We're always here to support our partners no matter what it is, at a moment's notice, whether it's from our cars or from our homes in the early morning hours, it doesn't matter. The FBI will be here and will continue to support the lead investigative agency, is CBI, and also help any other leads that come out of this to help in any way, shape, or form that we can. It's now a great opportunity to introduce Michael Allen, the District Attorney.
This morning at about 8:20 a.m., the DA's office was notified of 2 state troopers who were shot here in Teller County, which is, I can just tell you, some of the worst news that you can get as a district attorney of a big judicial district like the 4th Judicial District. We stand shoulder to shoulder with our law enforcement here in the 4th Judicial District, and any violent action taken against our law enforcement we take very seriously. It is by the grace of God that all law enforcement involved in today's activity are safe and will recover. And I would include also our community members here in Teller County are also all safe. And that is a testament to our law enforcement response here in the 4th Judicial District. When the call came in that these troopers had been fired upon, law enforcement from around the state of Colorado responded very rapidly and with a determination to find the suspect and bring this thing to a peaceful conclusion, and that's what happened here today. As is common with these types of investigations, there will be obviously the criminal investigation from the initial response with the 2 state troopers that were shot in that initial encounter, and then the ultimate officer-involved shooting that occurred with the Teller County Sheriff's Office response sometime after that initial shooting. That investigation, as we learned, will be conducted by the Colorado Bureau of Investigation. They will oversee the investigation of the ultimate criminal activity, which will include more than what occurred here in Teller County, and then also the officer-involved shooting portion of that. When they conclude their investigation in cooperation with my office, they will turn it over to us, and then we will review that investigation to determine, are there any other suspects that would potentially be charged with any criminal activity? We will look at all of the officers involved to see if what their actions portend for whether they were justified shootings or not. In all likelihood, based on what you know now, you can guess where that's going to go. But it's important that we have a fair and thorough investigation. As our FBI partner mentioned, there was a huge response from law enforcement from around Colorado, and I just want to call these folks out because without this cooperation and collaboration, we can't do what we do in law enforcement, and that is a hallmark of how we do things here in the 4th Judicial District. We work in close cooperation and collaboration on all criminal cases, but especially ones of this magnitude. So we want to thank specifically the Colorado State Patrol, the Teller County Sheriff's Office, El Paso County Sheriff's Office, the Colorado Bureau of Investigation, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, the Drug Enforcement Agency, the United States Marshal's Office, the Douglas County Sheriff's Office, Colorado Springs Police Department, the Park County Sheriff's Office, and then also, last but not least, Charis Bible College, who opened up their campus and allowed us to use their location as a staging ground for today's investigative needs. And then as Director Soldate mentioned, we have people out in the field right now working on this investigation, collecting evidence. Please respect that process and please don't get in the way. With that, we would potentially open it up for any questions. Kate?
Yeah.
What condition is the suspect in? Is he still alive or?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, thank you for that question. Just for everyone, the question was, what condition is the suspect in? Is he still alive? I can say after the officer-involved shooting, the personnel on scene immediately rendered medical aid. Ambulance was called in to transport the subject. The subject was transported to an area hospital where at noon today he was pronounced dead. We do know his identification. We are waiting on identification from the coroner to release his name and for next of kin notification as well.
What was the reason for him being, I'm assuming, getting pulled over?
So I would just say a lot of that's going to be determined in the investigation that CBI is going to conduct. So we're going to defer a lot of factual questions to allow that investigation to be carried out. So please give us patience as we work through that. I know that there's a big thirst for information early on in these instances, but we do also need to protect the process and make sure that we have a thorough investigation that's both fair and accurate. So we're going to probably defer on most of those types of questions.
Follow-up to that is when you made your initial, or Kate made the initial statement.
Yeah.
She said he was a construction worker at that house, or he acted like a construction worker at that house?
So the initial information is that he was performing some general contracting work for a homeowner.
Do we know if this person has any criminal history?
So that's going to be something we're going to defer to as we let this investigation unfold.
We all saw a Fight for Life. Can anyone confirm whether
Yes, I believe it was.
Where was he taken? Which hospital?
I believe it was in Colorado Springs. Yeah. so-
So it was really here, Pikes Peak Regional Hospital. So where the shooting occurred was close in proximity. He was transported to that hospital. There was plans for Flight for Life. That never was actually used. He was pronounced dead at the hospital here in Teller County.
Do you guys, can you confirm that one of the troopers had serious injuries and we heard that he walked himself into the ER? Can you confirm that?
I can tell you that one of our troopers was hit multiple times. Gunshots are serious wounds. Our second trooper was also shot. I would say a less serious wound. Both troopers actually, the scene was right across Highway 24 from the hospital. Both troopers actually drove themselves to the hospital and walked into the ER.
Do we know where they were shot at on there?
I'm not going to be that specific.
You say multiple times. How many multiple times?
I'm going to defer on specifics to that too.
How significant was it that the hospital was that close? I mean, how fortunate, or how would you, like, if they had to go any further?
I'm not a doctor, so I can't say that, but I would tell you that I'm very grateful that there was a hospital right across the street. As been said, one of our troopers was more seriously injured, but he was also able to drive himself in there. So as he was able to walk into the ER and he got the top level medical care from a wonderful hospital as quick as that possibly could occur. So it certainly made this situation better.
Are there any troopers that are being treated at Memorial Central in Colorado Springs?
Go ahead.
I'm not going to tell you what hospital they're at. There is still a trooper being treated.
And if I could just throw in, based on that last question, it's worth noting that when somebody engages in violent behavior like what we've witnessed here today, our men and women in law enforcement don't hesitate to respond and run towards that danger and do all of these things and put their lives in jeopardy for all of us. And that's certainly what happened with the two State Patrol troopers this morning. When they were met with gunfire, they acted heroically. Luckily, they were close to a hospital, so they could be treated very quickly. But that is the hallmark of Colorado law enforcement and federal law enforcement, that they will willingly run towards danger, even if it's deadly danger like what we saw here today. So can't say it enough how appreciative I am of their efforts and their willingness to put themselves in the line of fire like what we saw here today. And that's the same thing for our Teller County folks as well that responded and helped out here and obviously came under gunfire as well.
Mr. Allen,
So-
with respect to the things that you said that you can't and will not comment about, is there anything that you can tell us about why the situation escalated to where it did? He's a contract worker. He wouldn't, one wouldn't think that it would escalate this quickly on a traffic stop. So is there anything you can tell us about why this escalated so quickly?
Yeah. Yeah, just a second. So one thing I'm going to say is that a lot of what you're asking about is going to be determined through the course of the investigation. The why is always one of those questions that gets answered later in an investigation. You don't always have the ability to get into somebody's mind as to why they reacted in a certain way to police contact. So we can't really get into that right now, even though I appreciate the question. And then we'll just leave it to the investigation. I know Sheriff wants to add something too.
Yeah, I know there's a lot of questions about criminal histories that we can't talk about, right? And there's a lot of questions about why somebody did this. But I want you to understand something. These deputies and officers were heroic in everything they did. They were ambushed the first time. And I want you to think about something. They were ambushed a second time. And then we had another ambush on an officer. Look, I can't say enough at how heroic those deputies are because we don't know what this subject would have done afterwards. He was put down in a gunfight where he was attempting to kill one of my deputies. So quite honestly, I really don't have any sympathy for anybody at this point. This person actively tried to murder 3 different law enforcement officers in 3 different engagements within about a mile and a half apart. That's a big deal for any law enforcement organizations across the state to deal with. The fortunate piece to it is the amount of education and training we put into our officers in this state to be able to survive these types of engagements and to be able to deal with those things, still attempting to save someone's life that's tried to take our lives, still attempting to do the proper investigations and do the right thing. So I will tell you that these types of engagements, my deputies were heroic in the fact that they were able to put down a suspect that was attempting to murder people all day. So thank you.
Can you guys clarify, a lot happened today, a lot of agencies were involved. Can you guys give us like a pinpoint of when it turned over to the federal investigators will get involved as well?
How is the federal investigators
Yeah, how?
involved?
Yeah, so I can answer that. So when events happen like this, no matter what, we're going to respond. So the call came out to us very early. We have the same radio channels as our partners do. Once that call came out, we immediately started heading north up here from Colorado Springs, which is where we're based out of. So it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when we're going to be there, right, which is almost immediate. So that's how we got involved.
Irrespective of criminal history, what's he known to law enforcement?
Yeah, we're going to defer on that also. Hopefully we can answer that in the investigation. Give us some time to do that. We've got to do some things per Colorado statute before we can release that type of information, but it will certainly be released at some point.
Can you update the condition of the fallen troopers, or
You don't want to
the
do that.
injured troopers? What is their current condition, are you allowed to say?
I can tell you one of the troopers, he's no longer being treated, and the second trooper is still being treated.
Thank you.
Just wanted to clarify the 3 ambushes. So there was the first ambush when that initial traffic stop happened, and then the second ambush was within that same, or did he come back around?
So the exact sequence of how the interactions happened will be determined through the investigation, but the first traffic stop occurs, there's a shooting there. Within a short amount of time, there's the second shooting, and then a little bit more of an extended period of time passes before there's a shooting that involves Teller County Sheriff's Office. Beyond that, for today, we're going to defer because we need to protect the investigation, make sure we have a fair process.
And clarifying, both troopers drove themselves to the hospital.
That's right.
Okay, and then walked into the.
Can anyone clarify I think I have video of one of the state trooper vehicles with broken glass or a shattered window. Is that fair?
I can tell you that 2 of our patrol cars did take gunfire.
Is there any danger to the community at this point, and how can they assist you guys moving forward?
Well, the suspect is no longer alive. At this time, there is not anything that I believe that the community needs to be worried about. I will say this, though, about our community. The response level from throughout the community once they received the information was amazing. We started receiving tips immediately upon putting things out. And I will tell you, law enforcement, we can't do our jobs without really the input of our communities and how much they support law enforcement within our local areas. So I just want to say thank you to our community. We couldn't have done it without you.
Body cameras,
That'll be part of the investigation
do they
review.
run them or not?
Yeah, everybody, local, state, law enforcement is equipped with body worn camera.
I know you said immediately. Do you know what the time frame was between that alert, I think when we got a thing down at Springs, that what had happened? How long after that alert goes out did you start? Like, was it a matter of minutes, seconds, a couple minutes, 5 minutes? Like,
Yeah, I think I know what you're saying. So what happened was we put out the response, Colorado State Patrol put out a response. We immediately set up a tip line and then people to run down those tips within our dispatch center through our E911 processes. That's where the success came in identifying where this was at. The initial call came to us at 9:24. Deputies arrived on scene at 9:25, and then the shooting occurred at 9:26. So 3-minute response to the time of the engagement, right? So I'll be quite honest, you don't see that very often in law enforcement. For a tip to be given, we arrive on scene, we then identify the subject, and then what happens, happens.
Can we get any idea about the ambush? You used the word ambush a number of times.
Yeah, we can't give you that information. That's all part of the investigation.
Do you have any rough number of the total amount of law enforcement agents who responded to the call?
I don't have a rough number. I can tell you this, it was a sea of blue today. Everywhere I looked, we had partners that were assisting. It was an amazing response. I've never seen this type of a response before, and I just tell you, all of our partners, I'm amazed, shocked, and I just love all of them for all that they did.
Where does this rank, excuse me, in this community, where does this rank in terms of incidents? Like, is it unusual? Is it like once in a lifetime kind of thing?
Well, it's definitely not once in a lifetime, man. We've had a pretty storied history in this county as to major events occurring. I will tell you, I think that it's a misconception in any community, nothing can happen to you where you're at, right? I think nowadays we see this as it happens everywhere. There is no safe spot for a law enforcement agent to do his job. And in this state at this time, we have those things happening. All states do, right? So it was an occurrence today. Could there be occurrences tomorrow? Sure. I would tell you that I think this happens throughout all of Colorado.
How did it make you feel seeing that sea of blue and knowing that the thin blue line isn't just a saying, it's a family?
Well, I have 30 years in this career, and I will tell you, it always amazes me that when our partners come to help us, especially when you believe that you may lose a deputy or something's going to happen. So you can't really, it's hard for me to even talk about that type of a response, right? I get all teared up. I'm getting old enough now that it does cause that. But I will tell you, I couldn't ask for better partners and support through our community, and especially you guys also as our media. You guys were immediate, you put out great information, and that's what helps us locate people.
I think everyone can appreciate that there are going to be questions that remain from community members about the events of today and the response that ensued, and we appreciate that. We also have to protect the integrity of the ensuing investigation, and that's the most important thing right now. So I think we're going to close questions for today, and any further updates will be released once the OIS report is finalized from the District Attorney's Office. Thank you so much.
Yep, go ahead.